Joker Harley, Criminal Sanity #4, Cami Garcia writing with Jason Badauer and Miko Suin on the art. So, yeah.
The art is definitely different. It has a completely different feel to it now.
The color art, you mean?
Yes, the color art. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just it's not as jarring now. Now it seems like it's just the art that's colored.
It didn't entirely drop the photorealistic thing. There's a couple of panels where I can really see it still trying, but for the most part, it doesn't feel quite as glaring as it did before.
Yeah, but the art is typically very good in this book, though. This was another big one. Reading it on my bigger screen looked really good, especially those 2-page layouts. Really started because it fills the page a bit more. It fills the screen a bit more, I should say, because of the shape. It's a bit more when there's two of them side by side.
Yeah, this is a widescreen, I think is how they referred to it as, and it is a bit wider.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit wider. It's not that wide, really, but it's wider than an usual page.
Yeah.
So we have the Joker committing more crimes, more murders. There's actually a great setup at the start in the first page, because I remembered this being earlier in the issue. I didn't remember where it was until now. I've looked back. It's on the very first page of Harley walking through the street during Christmas time. There's like a marionette in the window with the pose, the sugar plum kind of fairy thing, because obviously that's going to be the big kill scene that he leaves later on in the issue. So I remembered it being there. I didn't remember it was the first page, so that's a nice touch. I like that it's there. So teasing things out.
And then the second page is, him carrying a body, presumably, and then just a rat in the foreground, which again is another big thing for later.
Yeah. So they let Harley talk to like Firefly. And I'm like, I'm not sure why they're letting her talk to a criminal. This is. I
mean, she is a psychologist, so they're gonna find out. But I do like what she does, where she entices him with. Because she knows he's a pyromaniac. Yeah. And she uses up another, like, a famous pyromania case to basically break his attention because he's still focused on the fire to tell her what.
What was really cool about this, what was really nice in the setup here, is that when she goes in the room, he cracks a little joke where he says, "Oh, hey, I didn't realize they started offering conjugal visits." Talking about how this attractive young woman's walked in the room. This is weird, but I like the idea that he cracks a joke about sort of finding her attractive and sort of giving that personality type across, that misogynist kind of idea, but. It's actually not her that he's attracted to. Once she starts playing with the lighter, it's the lighter that's making him go, oh. Like that's what gets him going. Yeah. So I like that little setup there, that he's trying to pretend to be more of a normal, like, pervert, basically. But then, of course, as soon as she starts flipping the lighter around, he's like...
I love all the close-ups of her just kind of spinning the lighter around, flipping the lid open,
Yeah. Really good stuff. Yeah. But he doesn't give her a name, but he gives her enough of a description of this guy who sold the things to the person. I will admit some of the details, because it had been like because there was delays as well for this book anyway, so it had been a while since we'd read issue 3. So remembering some of the details of what she was looking for here was a little bit tough. But
I hope it means that there'll be less delays for at least the next few issues. Though
that makes sense.
Well, we have that special issue that teases at the end of this one.
That's the Secret Files,
the case book.
Case Files, yeah. So that'll be an interesting read. But we have she goes to talk to the girlfriend of the teenage boy. The girl, because remember the flashbacks last issue, because this was kind of coming back to me as I was reading it. The girl who was kind of friendly with the young guy who we are assuming is the Joker, and it seems pretty, concrete at this point that that's him.
Yeah.
That she was like getting tutored by him, and like her then boyfriend sort of, and we get this flashback where the Joker like shows up in a suit to like tutor her. He shows up, I've got a thing after this, which I'm assuming is a lie, because there's nothing actually later on that implies that there was something afterwards for him to have a suit on.
I mean, to be fair, if there was a thing, he probably wouldn't have gone to it covered in all the shit that he was.
Yeah, because they knock him into some paint. There's like sort of like racks of paint, and they knock him in, and he's just covered and drenched. White paint, notably, I guess to sort of tease the visual of later. And he's shitty stepdad is like, you're not going to college, you're not leaving me. I get to say, you get to go when I say you can go.
You say stepdad, but up to this point we thought it was his dad.
We did, yeah.
And then he tells him here that he's only stuck around for so long, because he made a promise to his mother when he was dying, and he doesn't even know who the real father is. and whatnot. And I was like, man, I don't know whether to believe this guy or not, but this is some real shitty stuff to say to the kid you raised, regardless. You know,
I mean,
like
it feels so.
The whole book has told us how shitty a person he is. It's not exactly out of character.
No, yeah, and no, it's not that it's out of character, but just the whole, you're not even my kid. You know, like, you know.
I think it's so shitty that I'm willing to believe it. It's kind of where I come from.
But,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah. But so it sets off that too. That now he's off on his own track, and I also liked here that there were references to Bruce Wayne. If you look at one of the newspapers, it tells us Bruce Wayne still in Himalayas.
Yeah, it's upside down, but it is there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can see the Wayne Enterprises building up in the upper skyline in Gotham on one of those first pages.
The letter that he's holding when he comes in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's about his college application or whatever, but it has the Wayne logo on it.
Which, I mean, I think we've been talking about in the past that Batman doesn't exist in this world, or to what extent does he exist in this world, if at all.
Right.
Is it possible that Batman sort of coming out is at the end of the story? Like, as a sort of, not a Deus Ex Machina, because I'm assuming it'll be satisfying on its own terms, but the idea that there is this new element introduced at the end, because that's where it is in the world.
Right. Which is what I always appreciated in the Nolan stuff was, you know, at the end of that first movie, it begins, Gordon brings up escalation. So these elements were there, but it wasn't until a man started dressing up like a bat that people started to escalate. Now there's a guy wearing war paint, calls himself the Joker. You know?
Joker so far in this is more reserved in the sense that obviously he's wearing some of the makeup and that, but you could sort of say that, you know, he's inspired to become more animated and more public because of the Batman, you know, at the end of this. Like that,
yeah.
So it's possible.
And we know Gordon's a high level. I don't think he's commissioner yet, you know, but he works with Harley. So, you know, so if this is pre-Batman Gotham, I'm okay with that, because I've never been really about the crazies didn't start showing up until Batman did. I never really liked that narrative. I like that they are concurrent.
I like it in the sense that they get inspired, like, to be more theatrical, to do more of these wacky things, to wear costumes, stuff like that.
So like in my brain in this is that Cobblepot's still doing, you know, organized crime stuff, right?
Oh sure,
yeah. And I think the thing here is Joker isn't doing a lot of theatrical Joker-y things. He's doing traditional serial killer things.
Yeah. Well, this is a real-world serial killer Joker. Because it's not maniacal.
I didn't need this to lead to Batman in some way. I was happy for this to just be a world where Batman never showed up, and that's kind of the point.
But are we thinking like Bruce being in the Himalayas is him doing his training?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a tease for like he's going to show up at the end or close to the end as Batman.
Yeah, could be.
So that could be interesting. But anyway, so Joker, present day, is looking for some supplies. He goes to this book dealer, but he does like off the, you know, stuff from the back that no one talks about, no one knows. He's got this secret book for him. We never find out in this issue what it is, though, do we?
No. It's something bigger than what he's doing, I think.
Yeah.
So
Harley goes to the guy in the bar, the big skinhead, and basically takes him down when he gives her cheek. But it doesn't really accomplish a whole lot.
Doesn't get a whole lot of information from him, does she?
Yeah, I will say one of the small issues we've had with this book over the course of it that confused me back, I think, in issue 2 was sometimes when it chooses to switch to color, and I thought it was weird here. There's a flashback to like earlier that day that's in color, and I'm like, I don't know, the timeline feels like, no, the stuff back then is in color, the stuff now, and it happened in issue 2 because there was a scene with the Joker, what context told me was mostly present day, or more or less present day, but the color made it feel like this should be further back, but that didn't make sense. And this one's more obvious that it is definitely like just earlier that day, but it's weird to me. I mean, I guess the link here is because it's the Joker crime scene being found, that, you know, there's more Joker entering the world, so therefore there's more color entering the timeline or something like that. But
it is interesting how it does say just earlier, so it is very clear that it is, you know, hours ago. Yeah,
because this is where they're there to see the unveiling of the Christmas pageant or the sugar plum or whatever. I'm honestly not clear if it's a performance or if they're just like, you know, revealing a big like display. But either way, the curtains open, and it's the mannequins actually got like dead body parts. So, you know, it's the core part is a real woman's dead body with like wooden legs and arms. Really creepy, really sick. Gordon's trying to like get to the front with his badge out, and of course they call her in, and
then the rats drop down.
And when Harley arrives on her bike, there's like a little girl saying the sugar plum fairy died. So then we get the actual crime scene and them looking at it, and yeah, so basically it's escalating. The idea that he's getting more theatrical, he's doing bigger things. This was a public unveiling as opposed to just a crime scene.
Yeah, so I actually do kind of like a sense of theatricality here, that as people are staring at this ghastly image of a sugar plum fairy, the rats from the Rat King from the Nutcracker slowly drop through that tarp, and I'm just like, oh man, if this is a Fincher movie, I can see the scene.
The last page is after we get the crime scene, and she's talking about how everything's going to escalate now. She comes home, and the end of the book, and probably one of the weirdest things with this book is that up until now, I think 2 out of the 3 issues have had last pages that don't feel like last pages. This one definitely does, because this is this big cliffhanger where she comes home and Joker's sitting there waiting with his file in his hand saying, looking for me. If anything, it's a bit cheesy, but I'll still wait and see what they do with it.
Just a tad.
This was enjoyable. I'm digging the mood and the art and whatnot.
Yeah, it was still real good. It was nice to get right back into some good comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you giving it, Matt?
I'll give this a solid. I'll give it a 7.5.
Connor?
I'm going to be a little bit more generous. So I'm going to give it an 8, which is weird.
Yeah, Connor being more enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I'm happy to. I feel like I'll give it a 7.5 as well. I think the reason why this one is feeling that way, maybe a little bit, it may just be the gap. It may be the gap and me not necessarily remembering some stuff that made a couple of sections a little bit tough to sort of get to get on even footing with the book.